Understanding attachment styles is a crucial component in knowing how to navigate the intricacies of relationships and life. But unfortunately, there is so much misinformation out there that I had to make this video to give you the proper knowledge that you need, because I see a lot of content creators talking about attachment styles in the wrong way. In today's session, you're going to learn the 4 attachment styles. And no, secure attachment does not exist. It's not one of them. And you already know me. If you don't, I'm Coach Goldman, your relationship and breakup coach. And I am a no bullshit kind of coach. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear to heal and to grow, and not what you want to hear to pay me. Because if I will tell you what you want to hear, you will be happy go lucky, but you're going out there to the wilderness of relationships and life, and you're misinformed. And then you make the wrong decisions, and then you need to come back into class to learn again and again and again and again. And I don't want this for you. I want you to learn this once and realize it forever. So, without any further ado, your current attachment style is not permanent. This is the first thing that I want you to understand. Your current attachment style is not permanent, because many people, this is one of the many things that people are misinformed when they think that their current attachment style, that's it. I'm anxious, I'm doomed, I'm avoidant, I'm doomed. No, 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 no. Your attachment style can change, and I will also reveal to you in this video how you can do that. So this is number one, because many people believe that their attachment style, like I wrote here, is fixed for life, set in stone by their childhood experience or past relationships. If someone identifies as anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, they assume that this pattern defines all their relationships forever, which this is not the case. Attachment styles, like I said, are adaptable and can change over time due to personal growth, coaching, or new relational experience. Now, whether you're anxious or avoidant, it doesn't really matter. It's important for you to know that we all have elements of both anxiousness and avoidance within us to varying degrees. You got to know that, because people say, no, 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 I'm just anxious. Oh, no, 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 I'm just avoidant. Oh, no, 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 my ex or my partner is just avoidant. No, 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 don't identify, first of all, yourself as such, and don't identify others as such before you get the proper information. And like I said, in today's session, you're going to get the proper information. You're going to be able to make the decision. What is your attachment styles first? And then what is your desired attachment style and how to get it? Now, they can shift and change, like I said. And in this session, I'm just going to tell you what they are and how you can change them. First things first, you got to know your attachment system. Okay? Your attachment system is built of 2 main components. The number one is your primary attachment style, which is formed during childhood. This is how your attachment system is built. You have the first attachment style, which is the primary one. It forms in childhood because when you were a little kid, your subconscious mind was wide open. You couldn't reject any idea. You couldn't reject anything actually. What the language that you speak, the the way you talk and walk and whatever, these things were ingrained in you because of society or environment, primary caregivers, etc., and how you saw a couple, mom and dad, if you grew up without a mom or without a dad, or there's many things that form the attachment, but this is just the primary attachment style. Like you learn your primary language and you can learn other languages after, this is pretty much the same, because us as human beings, we are very adaptable. We're adapting to everything. Number two here, it's developatory attachment style. An attachment style that was developed through different relational experiences, whether are romantic or platonic. So you learn. So you have your primary one, which can be, like I will reveal to you in this video, you have anxious, ambivalent, and avoidant. In avoidant, we have the dismissive avoidant and the fearful avoidant. But these are the 4 attachment styles that are in existence. Now, how does the attachment style system determine which type of attachment to form? If I'm saying, it's adaptable, it can shift. How does your attachment system decide which is right, which is wrong, which is needed, which is not needed? It goes like this. You have the RAS. This is your reactionary attachment system. The reactionary attachment system is adapting to the situation, and it will match the complementary attachment style in attempt to establish the bond. Okay? Now, the attachment will adapt or shift in response to the level of intensity and dynamic of the attachment style of the person we are involved with. I'm going to explain it to you more in this session. Don't worry if it sounds big and if it sounds a little bit confusing, like, what do you mean, the intensity? I'm going to explain it to you. Now, in this case, in the case that the attachment system cannot perform proper adaptation, this means that an attachment cannot be formed, and you may feel lack of chemistry, what we call chemistry, and inability to establish the bond. This is where you feel off with the person. You're like, I don't know if this person is right for me. I don't feel it's in limerick terms, you will say, I don't feel the vibe. Now, what I mean, the intensity and the dynamics of the attachment, because we have a spectrum, and I'm gonna show you here. Can you see the spectrum? Let's just do this like this, just for real quick, so you can see. We have a spectrum between 0 to 10. Anxious, it starts 0 to 5, 0 to 4, it's anxious. 4 to 6, it's ambivalent, which is anxious avoidant attachment style. And I would say that 6 to 10 will be avoidant. And avoidant, like I said, it's going to be dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant. Now, let's just begin and talk about the different attachment styles one by one. And it's very important for you to realize at this point, your goal is to go here. Your goal is to have the ambivalent attachment style, because secure attachment does not exist. Let's just demystify this one real quick. Secure attachment style is a myth invented by therapists that I think just want to take your money or something. And I'm going to tell you also why, because you think that, do you really believe that secure attachment means that you don't really care if you know, you're never anxious, you're never avoidant, you're completely emotionally vulnerable and open and self-regulating yourself, and it's all good all the time? This is the myth. This is why it does not exist. No one on this earth can be secure and say, I don't care about this, I don't care about that, or I can regulate myself completely. When you form an attachment, a bond with a person, immediately you're vulnerable. Immediately there is some type of insecurity due to this vulnerability and openness. And everything that this person is doing can and is affecting you to a certain degree. So yes, if this person is distancing themselves from you, you will feel a bit anxious. And if this person is too much on you, you will be a little bit avoidant. And that's okay. That's healthy. So I just want you to dismiss the idea of secure out of your mind, because it does not exist. It can't be completely, you can never be completely secured. The best you can be is ambivalent, which is a little bit anxious, a little bit avoidant, and it will be between 4 to 6 on the spectrum. When 0 is anxious, 10 is avoidant. 10 will be disorganized, fearful avoidant. And you want to be in the middle, like here, ambivalent, anxious and avoidant a little bit, but you're going to realize that better in later on in the session. Before we begin, let's begin with number 1. Like I said, anxious attachment styles. It calls in professional terms anxious preoccupied. anxious attachments. Now, individuals with anxious attachment crave closeness and reassurance, but may also worry excessively about the stability of their relationship. They often fear abandonment and overly dependent on their partners. Overly dependent on their partners. This is not a healthy thing to be overly dependent on your partner. Now, anxious attachment often develops from inconsistent caregiving during childhood. It starts in childhood. Everything starts in childhood. We learn how to speak, how to walk, how to do everything in childhood. This is just one of them. And understand, it can be changed. You're not doomed if you're anxious. Now, caregivers may have been unpredictable in meeting the child's emotional needs, leading to the child become hypervigilant to signs of rejection or abandonment. This is what it is. Now, the characteristics of anxious attachment style is constant need for reassurance and validation. Always like, are you loving me? Are you here? Are you gone? You didn't pick up my phone. I texted you and you didn't text me back, or you texted me a very short message. Are you mad at me? Are you okay? Are you breaking up with me? There's something else. There's somebody else. Who is it? Motherfucker. All of this catastrophizing, I know that because I was extremely anxious. And if I called my girl and she didn't pick up, I would go crazy. I'm telling you, I just catastrophized. I said, she's either dead or with another dude. And one time she was with another dude. Actually, this is one of the main reasons that this channel came about. My ex monkey branched on me, meaning she cheated on me and moved on with this other person. Later on, she came back, but it doesn't matter. Of course, I didn't took her back. If you watch my documentary, you can see it. But this is how I started, because I said I was so anxious. I was so on. She was my everything. And I said to myself, I can't live like that. It's not healthy. Also, I just realized that I have everything, but still I felt like I had nothing because I had the money, I had the looks, I was loyal. And I said, how can she cheat on me? I mean, I was completely the perfect man for her. It didn't make sense. And this is how I start realizing what I'm sharing with you so you don't make the same mistakes that I made, and how I went from anxious to ambivalent, not secure, ambivalent, in between. I'm a little bit of both. You're going to understand it better now in this video. The second characteristics of an anxious, preoccupied, high emotional sensitivity and fear of abandonment. Every time a person that that you love shows you a little bit of distance, that's it. You don't eat, you don't sleep, you constantly ruminating what they're doing, who they're with, why it's happening. It's really not a good place to be. Number three is overthinking and overanalyzing partners' behaviors. Like I told you, if my, let's say my girl sent me a message and she didn't put heart emoji in the end, I said, that's it. She's mad at me. She's mad, and there's some other dude that she's not mad with, or she's madly in love with. It's just catastrophizing, completely catastrophizing. And I can give you only my example. So let me know, by the way, in the comments below, if you have an anxious attachment style, how do you exhibit it? How does it look like for you? Overly thinking, over analyzing? Just share, because I want you guys to see that we are all fucked. To a certain degree, we're all fucked. But we're here to learn, we're here to grow. So that's okay if this is your situation now. But it's not okay to stay there. You need to evolve and you need to grow, and you do it by watching this type of content and implementing it. It's not just watching, it's to implement. It's to really do the work, to integrate it, and it becomes an integral part of your new personality, that you're no longer this anxious person, that you're more on the ambivalent side, more on the what we used to call secure, that you're not, that you don't need to hold on to dear life to your partner, because your sense of validation doesn't come from your partner, but it comes from you. More of that in later on. Now, how it comes across in a relationship, how it comes across clinginess, possessiveness, or being overly dependent, difficulty trusting partner's commitment, emotional outbursts when feeling neglected. Now, the development in childhood, I'm going to talk about how it was developed in childhood and how it was developed in adulthood, and then, of course, what you can do about it. Anxious attachment often develops from inconsistent caregiving in childhood. Caregivers have been unpredictable, meeting the child emotional needs, leading the child to become hypervigilant, like I already said, leading them and and make them fear of rejection and abandonment. Now, in adulthood, it triggers by partners who are emotionally unavailable or inconsistent, and it gets worse by experiences of rejection of loss or loss. Okay? So if you have this little seed of anxiousness that was sown when you were a kid, it might be triggered in adulthood even more. Or if you don't have anxiousness in you and you grew up in a pretty normal family all as well, this can be developed also as you are as an adult, like I just said. So you see, we are very adaptable. We are adaptable. It's not that it just happened and that is it. Now let's move to the holy grail of attachment styles, which is ambivalent. This is between 4 to 6. One, 0 will be anxious, 10 will be avoidant. Between 4 to 6, this is the ambivalent. It's the anxious avoidant. Ambivalent attachment style. Now, this attachment style typically develops when caregivers are giving the child space to explore boundaries without punishment, providing comfort and support in a predictable manner. I can tell you that this is what I am now, but I didn't grow up in a family that provided that for me. I grew up very, very anxious because my parents, God bless them, good people, but completely unaware as to how to raise a child. Completely. And I was the youngest. I didn't get any attention. My older sister and my older brother got all of the attention. By the time that I was a part of the family, they were just spent, so tired. So they didn't hold me enough, they didn't care for me enough. One time they left me at the crib crying for almost a day. I passed out. I'm telling you all of this because, yes, I do have all the reasons, all the excuses to be anxious. But when you find the reasons and when you really work on yourself and change, you can become that. And I was, for a little bit in my life, a little bit avoidant. This is how you are sometimes anxious, avoidant, but now when you can stay between 4 and 6, that's ultimately the best. Now this creates strong sense of trust in and self development that it no sorry this creates strong sense of trust in self, yes, and develops the ability to make decisions without losing affection. So in childhood, if the kid can explore and if they make something, if they do something wrong, they don't get punished severely for it, they give them the ability to make decisions without losing affection. So they understand. Ambivalently attached individuals feel comfortable with intimacy and autonomy, the characteristics, confidence in oneself and the relationship, comfortable with intimacy and independence, can regulate emotions effectively. They're not fluctuating so much. It's between 4 to 6. And I had many times with my partner when I felt a little bit anxious. It was a 4. It wasn't, oh my God, she's going to leave me. No, it was, oh, I wonder what's up. Or when I was on my avoidance side, I was like, I just need peace. I just need rest for a little bit. It's not like, oh, just completely pushing her away. It's important to understand that it really is. How it comes across in a relationship. Non-neediness, open communication, ability to resolve conflicts calmly and constructively, provides emotional support while maintaining boundaries. You don't let anyone walk all over you. There's not such thing because you're not afraid to lose them, but you don't want to lose them. Avoidance, just want to lose people. Anxious, afraid to lose people. When you're ambivalent in between, it's okay for them to walk away. You feel secure enough within yourself and you say, that's okay, but you don't let them walk all over you. This is how you're able to resolve conflicts in a very constructive manner. Of course, the communication is open and there is no neediness. Development in childhood, like I said, consistent nurturing, caregiving that met emotional and physical needs, learned that the world is a safe place and people can be trusted. In adulthood, it reinforced positive experiences. In, it reinforced by positive experiences in a stable relationship and minimal exposure to unresolved trauma or extreme loss. So also in adulthood, it can be developed through developing a very strong sense of self when you are the sole did you rely only on yourself and you draw validation, you get validation only by who you are and what you do. Your sense of validation doesn't come from anyone else, not externally. Nothing external can validate you. You're only validated internally by who you are and how you conduct yourself. When you get to this point, you don't need anyone. You don't need anyone. But doesn't mean that you will not have anyone. It means that you get into a relationship because you want a relationship, but not because you need a relationship. You say, I have a lot to give, and I think you can benefit from it. I want to do this. It's not coming from an anxious place where I need you so much, or a avoided place that I just want my needs to be met. And if we start getting emotional in this shit, I'm just going to bounce and tap. That's not how it works. But you see, when you are secure within yourself, when you are validated by yourself, this is how it goes because anxiously attached people are validated by other people. Avoidance are validated actually by avoiding people, by rejecting and pushing people away. And ambivalent, they are just secure within themselves and they don't need this or that. They have this, they have themselves. So this would be the ultimate, the way that you can actually cultivate ambivalent attachment style and be more self-sufficient is by working on yourself a lot and not seeking external validation by no one and nothing. You validated only by who you are and what you do. That's it. And you stay true to yourself, you stay loyal to yourself, you don't break your own word to yourself. If you said, I'm not going to eat sweets today, you don't. I'm going to the gym every day, you go. I'm doing this, you do. I'm pursuing the career that I wanted to pursue. You're dedicated, you're consistent. I'm going to build the body that I want. You build. It's the little things. You might overlook that and you say, hey, but how do I develop like this this attachment style, this ambivalent attachment style, which is the best? How do I develop it? By going to the gym. You're validating yourself. How you do it? By waking up in an uncomfortable hour. I wake up at 2:30 every day. How you do that? I'm validating myself. I wake up and I say, oh, I didn't want to wake up, but I did. A point of validation for myself. No one can give it to me. No one can give you health. No one can give you six pack or bicep veins. No one. Only you by doing the work. And when you do the work, you're validating yourself. The more you're validating yourself, meaning you give yourself a command and you follow through, you give yourself a command and you follow through. This is how you develop it little by little by little. Just like you develop all other attachment styles, let it be anxious or avoidance. Now, let's talk about avoidant attachment style. This will be between, I would say, between around the 6 and the 10. 6.5 and a 10. Goes like this. We have dismissive avoidant and fearful avoidant, which both, yeah. Oh, just a second. I see that the 10 just ran away here. Come back. Let me just grab him like this. Because I need to see that it's here and it's good. Okay, great. Moving on. Dismissive avoidance. Avoidant attachment style typically arises from caregivers who are emotionally unavailable or rejective of the child's emotional needs. This can lead to the child suppress emotion. This can lead the child to suppress emotions and develop self-reliance as a coping mechanism. Avoidance very well known to be very self-reliant, but it doesn't mean that they are quote unquote secure, that they are self-sufficient in a healthy way. This is in an unhealthy way because a lot of time when people see people who are avoidance, they think that they are secure, they think that they are good because they say, yeah, I mean, I don't need anything, I don't need anyone, I'm good. Secure. No, you're avoiding this. So there is a very thin line between that people over time oftentimes are avoidant and they think they are secure, but they're not. Individual with avoidant attachment style tend to value independence and may avoid emotional intimacy. They may appear emotionally distant, prioritize autonomy, and find challenging to open up and rely on others. They're usually more physical. They don't mind sleeping around, but when it comes to the real shit, this is where they bounce. They're unable to do that because they didn't learn how, and they couldn't develop, and they didn't even try to develop it. Sometimes when people come to me to heal from dismissive avoidance or fearful avoidance, and they want to change, this is the number one thing. They need to want to change. They say, I want real love, real intimacy, and I'm ready for it, but it's hard for me to achieve it. So there is a dissonance between how they feel and how they think. And now they see that there is no correlation between the mind and the heart. And they say, I want more. I want to go deeper. And this is where we're able to work on it. Now, characteristic is highly independent and self-sufficient, suppresses emotions and avoid vulnerability, prefers logic over emotional intimacy. Very, very logical. This is more, yeah, they're just more logical, less emotional. Let's just put it that way. Now, how it come across in a relationship, difficulty expressing feelings or committing. When it comes to commitment, they are having a very hard time to commit, very, very hard time to commit. May seem emotionally distant or indifferent. Nothing really matters. That's the thing. Some of avoidance, dismissive avoidance or fearful avoidance, they are suffering from a thing called idhedonia, which nothing really matters for them. They don't feel, nothing really feels good, nothing really feels bad. They can't reach a high in life. Everything is just blend. Number three here, it tends to withdraw during conflict or stressful situations. When there is a stressful situation, instead of facing it head on, they draw back. It can be physically or emotionally, intellectually, in all manners. They just take a step back because it's hard for them. Their system is not did not adapt to this level of quote unquote stress. So the only thing that they know how to do or feel right to do is withdraw. And when they withdraw, they're like, it's kind of like an introvert that get energy from being alone. We can equate it to that. It's pretty similar. The development in childhood, it's the parents were emotionally unavailable or dismissive of their emotional needs, and they learn to rely on themselves and avoid reliance on others. They said, you probably will not be there for me, therefore I will do me and take care of myself. very independent little kids, very independent, but not in a healthy, in a good way. Development in adulthood, multiple failed romantic connections. This is where a person in adulthood, when they have a lot of multiple romantic partners and connections and they didn't succeed, they start to correlate that being with a person intimately does not mean that they will always be there for you. You cannot rely on them. People are not safe. And then they just draw back, take a step back and say, you know what? Hmm, maybe I should stop. Maybe I should, their attachment style become the coping mechanism. This is, like I said, the RAS kicks in, the reactionary attachment system kicks in, and they react in this way, which gives them a sense of just a little bit of ease and give them a sense of safety and security that they get from themselves and not from the other person, but it's not in a healthy way. It's not like when you're ambivalent and you say, I don't need the reassurance and validation from you, the other person, I can get it for myself, but they actually say, I don't need it, I don't want it, and I don't care in a way that it's holding resentment and anger towards a specific person instead of saying, if you give it to me, that's great. If you not, that's okay. It's completely different. Now, in adulthood, it can be triggered by situations, recurring vulnerability, or dependence. Okay, sorry, triggered by situation requiring vulnerability or dependence. When they need to be vulnerable or dependent on someone else, maybe it's financial, maybe it's even just relying on someone because they, I don't know, they just need them for any type of reason. These can be triggered, and then they said, you know what? Nope, not at all. And number three here is experience of betrayal or loss may deepen avoidant tendency, may deepen and also create avoidant tendencies, because if you got betrayed, this is something that your heart closes. And what happened to me when my ex cheated on me, I was extremely anxious. And then I became extremely avoidant, extremely avoidant. This is how I found the middle. This is how I found in between. But before that, I I didn't know. Now I do. This is why I'm telling you what is good and what is healthy. Being extremely anxious, it's not good, or avoidant, it's not good, because it doesn't, you can't have a very successful and a happy relationship and a balanced relationship. This is not good. Now let's talk about fearful avoidant. This is the disorganized attachment. The last but not least, disorganized attachment often stems from traumatic experiences or abusive caregiving, where the child's safety and well-being were compromised. This can lead to conflicting behaviors in relationships, as individuals desire closeness but fear it simultaneously. This is very, very, very hard one, because they say, I love you, but I'm afraid of you. I want to be with you, but what if you hurt me? The dialogue inside their mind, it's horrible. She was a monologue inside her mind. It's horrible because they want it, but their central nervous system cannot compute that and translate the emotions of love into safety. Really difficult to be with a fearful avoidant, and I know I was with one. Now, people with disorganized attachment may experience intense emotions, struggle with trust, and exhibit unpredictable behaviors in a relationship. These are usually the people that cheat also, because they don't know. They just don't know. Not to their fault. I don't justify cheating at all. But when you understand the cheater's mind, you just feel sorry for them. But this is for a whole other video. They may have difficulty regulating emotions and maintaining stable connections because they don't know. You see, when a person have disorganized attachment, fearful, avoidant, They want intimacy, but they're afraid of it at the same time, like I already said. So when they cannot translate these emotions, it leaves them in a situation where stable, it's unfamiliar, stable, it's weird, stable, it's boring, stable, it's dangerous. They prefer to exit or cheat because when they do that, they are in control. So they seek also control. They don't want to just wait for something to happen. They rather make something happen than just wait. Characteristics, like I said, conflicted, desired closeness, fear of rejection or harm, intense emotional highs and lows, distressful and highly reactive to perceived threats. Perceived doesn't need to be real threats. It can be just perceived threats. This is enough to trigger the shit out of them. How it comes across in a relationship: chaotic, unpredictable relationship patterns, difficulty trusting fully and committing to the partner, may sabotage relationships due to fear of being hurt. And it's not even just sabotaging, because people say, oh, they sabotage, they self sabotage. They didn't self sabotage. They did what they thought was best for them, based on what they know. The problem is that they don't know enough and they're not regulated enough to know what's good or bad. Therefore, you, a healthy person, look at it and say, oh, it looks like a self sabotaging behavior to me. But to them, it's just, hey, motherfucker, I'm just protecting my ass here. Now, the development in childhood experience trauma, neglect, or abuse. It can be physical, emotional, or, God forbid, sexual abuse. Saw it many times, and it happens. Caregivers were a source of both comfort and fear, leading to confusion. It can be a dad that molested his kid, it can be an uncle that molested the kid, it can be all kind of fucked up shit. It's really, really, really poor. When I'm talking about it, it's really, it gets to me. It's something that I didn't talk about a lot in my channel, but when I was a kid, I was sexually abused by a family member. And I'm telling you this because I had, like I said, all the reason to be anxious, all the reason to be avoidant, and I was. I was. But when you start to learn through life experience, by the way, this is not a thing that you're like, oh, let's be secure or ambivalent attachment style altogether, and that's easy. No, 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 no. It's not going to work like that. You need to go through life and you need to realize who you are, what you were. And this is where I can help you guys realizing your current attachment style and how to heal it and to become the ambivalent in between, because it's a lot. It's not as easy as it sounds. This is why I'm telling you, I was this, I was that, I figured this out, I figured this out. And it took me years. I'm almost 40 years old now. It took me time. And I can teach you this in way less time than it took me, maybe in a session or two. Okay, let's continue. Development in adulthood. Multiple failed romantic connection due to abuse. And this is something that you need to realize. Fearful avoidance attachment style is being developed in childhood through multiple romantic connections, failed multiple romantic connections due to abuse. It can be, again, physical, verbal, or both. That can lead to that, definitely. And it's triggered by relationships that replicate early childhood traumas and negative reinforcements from toxic or unstable partners. To summarize it, we have the fearful avoidant, we have dismissive avoidance, ambivalent, and anxious. Like I said, anxious, ambivalent, this is where you want to be between 4 to 6, where things happen, but you know how to deal with them. You're cool, you're collected, you're okay. Takes time to reach that. It's not just something that you just wake up one day. It's work and it's understanding. Once you get the understanding and you already did the work, yes, it can be even quicker. But you gotta realize who you were, who you want to be, why you do what you do, why you don't do what you need to do. Like there is a lot of psychology behind it, but I really tried my best to simplify that in today's session. I hope that you find this valuable and you understood what I was trying to help you understand in this session, because this can literally transform the trajectory of your entire life, not just relationships, entire life. With that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in my next videos.